Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Now in this video we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Season 4 2024 build on iRacing. We're going to be having a look at some of the new content and talking about a couple of new features. We've got 3 new cars, but I can only talk about 2. And we've got 1 new track, 1 rescan track, and 1 updated textures track. So let's talk about the new content first of all. Firstly, we've got the brand new BMW M4 GT4 Evo. Now this will replace the old BMW M4 GT4 and the new one will race in the Falcon Sports Car Challenge and the GT4 Fixed. But the old BMW M4 isn't dead. That's going to be moving over to the Production Car Challenge, replacing the Ford Mustang. Now if you've recently bought the old BMW M4, well, you will get some credit. If you purchased the old BMW M4 in the last 90 days, you will get full credit. So you could buy the new one and it wouldn't cost you anything. Between 91 and 180 days, you get 75% credit. And between 181 and 365 days, well, you get 50% credit. Now, also in this build, we have the brand new mini stock. Now, this is a little bit different to other cars on the over side. This just has a 4-cylinder 2.3 litre engine, which produces about 200 horsepower. Now this is available for both asphalt and dirt, and it's included in the base subscription. Hopefully there will be another car released in this build, but I can't talk about it. But I have driven it, but I can't talk about it. You know which one I'm on about. So onto the tracks, there has been an update to Circuit Zolder. The layouts remain exactly the same. There's just been a change to all the textures, roadside furniture, and it just brings it right up to date. As you can see from these shots, there is quite a considerable difference between the old Zolder and the new Zolder. So we've mentioned the BMW M4 GT4 and we've mentioned Zolder. So why not take out the new BMW around the new Zolder, right? Let's get out on track. Zolder. So Zolder hasn't had a rescan. It's just been updated, remodeled, new textures, trackside furniture. So it's the same Zolder that you've been driving on iRacing for a long time. It just looks a bit more up to date, a bit more modern. And it's an underrated track in my opinion, Zolder. I think it's a really good circuit. Always offers pretty decent racing. It's a difficult track to nail every lap because there are a couple of turns, turn 1 in particular, and turns 2. They're always really difficult to get your braking and turning just right. The chicane's always a bit tricky as well. Try not to get a slow down. But as you can see, it just looks a bit more up to date, as you would expect, with new textures, etc. But it's the same old Zolder, just looks a bit prettier. And just chill out on this lap and then we'll try and wind things up a little bit in the BMW. I've not done a whole lot of laps in this BMW, but I've done a few. It's very predictable, shall we say. If you've driven the old BMW, then there's nothing in this one that's going to come as a surprise to you. Right, let's try and wind this up now. Try and do a couple of flying laps in the BMW. Give you a good look at Zolder. Give you a good listen to the BMW. Straight away, 1 turn, I've missed an apex. Tyres are still cold though, in my defence. I've noticed with this BMW that we're a gear higher than we would be in the old one, so the gearing is slightly different. That's how it seems to me anyway. Like on the old one, I'd probably go down to 3rd gear here. Seems a little bit more tail happy. The old BMW was a little bit slidey, but this seems to be a little bit more eager to slide than the other one, which is not a bad thing in my opinion. I'd rather have a little bit of movement at the rear end. That's what she said. It drives really well. Interior looks pretty nice. See there, just starts to slide. But predictable, catchable. You know, it's not going to spit you off without giving you a fair warning, first of all. And we'll try and push on the next lap if we can. See if we can beat our lap time. As with most of the GT4s, second gear pretty pointless. Apart from the Mercedes, that's probably got a good second gear. And when I say good second gear, I mean the ratio's where you would expect it to be. Yeah, much better through there. Missed that one though, but let it track out wide, try and get a decent exit. Yeah, so there's nothing in this BMW that's going to surprise you if you've driven the old one. And depending on when you see this video, it would be a good idea to buy the old one if you don't own it, because if you're thinking about buying this one, of course, because the old one is being moved from the GT4 series and the Falcon Sports Car Challenge into the Production Car Challenge. That is going to replace the Ford Mustang. And if you buy the old BMW, or if you've bought it within the last or within recent times, you will get full credit. So you'll be able to use that money to buy this one. So essentially, you'll get the old BMW for free, which you will be able to run in the Production Car Challenge. But I think it drives really well. I do like it. Really predictable. Moves around a little bit. Sounds very similar to the old one, but I always think these sound better out of the car than in. So I'll give you a listen to it out of the car. So the next circuit I'm going to talk about is Spa. Now, we all love Spa. It's one of the most popular circuits in sim racing, but the iRacing version of Spa, well, it was as old as me. But for 2024, iRacing have rebuilt Spa from the ground up with a brand new scan. So it doesn't get much more up to date than the version of Spa we now have on iRacing. And as you can see from the shots, it looks absolutely spectacular. So let's jump into the McLaren and do a lap around Spa. Now, if there's anybody from iRacing watching this right now, no doubt they'll be panicking because I said the McLaren. But it's the McLaren that I'm allowed to drive. Right, let's take you for a lap around Spa. Now, we're in a McLaren, but admittedly, it's not the McLaren that I wanted to be showing you in this video. But it is what it is. We've got to stick to the rules. So we'll just have a nice slow drive around Spa, so you can have a look and see what you think. So the circuit's never changed, obviously. It's the same old Spa, just looks a lot better and it's more up to date. You can see straight down here with Eau Rouge, Raidillon, completely different to how it was. Nice big grandstand there now, and the runoff's got some lovely paint on it there. Everything's the same up the Kemmel Straight. Textures look really nice. I'll try not to kill myself in this McLaren because we all know what this McLaren's like. And the new one's a lot easier to drive than this one, so don't fear. The new McLaren doesn't have the traits that this one does. Not that I've noticed anyway. Yeah, it just looks so much nicer, doesn't it? You can survive now if you go out here. It's not game over. And then there's the new layout, which is, I believe, the motorcycle layout. That left turn there. And then the run down to Pouhon. Now, was the gravel on the outside of Pouhon on the old one? I can't remember. I know there was always asphalt, but was the gravel there? I can't remember. I would have to have a look at the old Spa to see. But I think you'll agree, it looks tremendous. Looks superb. Done a cracking job. I mean, Spa is Spa. We all know what Spa is. It's just nice to have a really up-to-date, modern version of Spa. And if you own the old Spa, then obviously you'll get this new update for free, which is good. I better slow down for Blanchimont, this car, because it's going to be a one-way ticket to Barrier Central with the old lift-off overseas in the McLaren. But that's a lap of Spa, new Spa, in the latest build. I think it looks tremendous. I think it looks excellent. Pit entry is just the same. But excellent. Top job iRacing. So that's Spa. So next we're going to talk about Cadwell Park. Now this is an absolutely incredible track, really popular in Britain, especially for bike racing. Quite a few years ago now, I took my old TL1000 motorcycle round here, and it's incredible. Long sweeping corners, tight corners, elevation changes, jumps. What more could you want? But I don't think it's going to be very good for cars that are a little bit wider. Maybe Formula Fords, Formula Vs, Global Mazdas, Legends. Definitely not a GT3. But let's jump in the Formula Ford and I'll take you for a couple of laps. So let's take you for a couple of laps around the beautiful Cadwell Park. Now, looking at the circuit there, it looks quite wide, doesn't it? But this is the circuit at its widest point. From this point, it just gets narrower and narrower and narrower. Quite claustrophobic. So turn one is a really fast uphill left. You've got to be really committed through here. Quite easy to go on that grass, but then it's followed by a really long, really sketchy right-hander where the exit is blind, and you've got to nail this exit because it leads onto the back straight, which is uphill. Slipstream is going to be so important, but if you get alongside somebody here, well, are you going to be brave enough to make a move at the end of it? I mean, look how narrow it is. You might get lucky. You might be able to hang it around the outside here. And if you can hold it around the outside all the way around this long right, you might have a chance to overtake. But at the end of this long right, there's a really tricky left, a blind left, and then it drops down the hill into a heavy braking zone at the bottom for a tight left. And then we've got the run to the mountain. So there are a few different layouts here. This is one of them here, so there's a little chicane there. And then this is another layout where it comes out of there, but this is the run to the mountain. So it's a left followed by a right. And if you've never watched the superbikes around here, type it in Google, have a look. It's impressive. And then through this woodland section here, very much one line. And then there's a really tricky right-hander at the end, which is going to catch so many people out. And then for the final turn here, you've got to turn in much earlier than you think. It really does jump out at you, that turn. And that's one lap of Cadwell. Now we'll pick up the pace a tiny bit. I'm not going to go too fast because I'm still learning the circuit in the car. So turn one, fast left, tyres still not up to temperature. We're going to be downshifting and watching for the exit here, trying to nail that exit, trying to time it right. A bit wide there, tyres are still cold, but a run onto the back straight where we're going up the hill. Slipstream is going to be really important here. If you can hold it around the outside here, then you've got a really good chance of an overtake, but it's sketchy. And then a long right. We're going to take it a little bit wider just to apex this a little bit later because we need to open up this left turn here. And then it's going to be hard on the brakes for this tight left. Tighter than you think there. And then the run up to the mountain. A little bit of air there. Depending on the car, you'll get a bit more air there. So very much one line through here during the race. There's not going to be any overtaking there, I wouldn't have thought. And that's a couple of laps of Cadwell Park. A really good fun circuit in cars such as the Formula Ford, Global Mazda, Renault Clio, Formula V, Legends. Something a bit slower. But as you can see here, there wouldn't be much room for a couple of GT3s. But a cracking circuit though. Now the next thing I want to briefly touch on is the slowdown penalty system on iRacing. Now, over the last couple of seasons, you'll probably know that the iRacing penalty system hasn't been ideal and it's definitely ruined quite a number of races for a lot of people. Instead of the timer coming down, it was going up, especially when you went round any kind of turn. Well, the timer would just go up and increase. And by the time you got rid of it, you'd probably lost 3 or 4 seconds. Now, I was watching Basic Ollie on YouTube yesterday. If you don't follow Basic Ollie, go and give him a follow. But he also had early access to the iRacing build. And he was doing some testing at Le Mans, and it seemed way better. So I thought, right, let's try it here at Spa, where you would normally get a slowdown, and see how quickly we can get rid of them. And I want to test the slowdowns, if you've got one, round a turn, see what it does. So top of Radeon, you would normally get a slowdown up here. Let's try and cut this. So 1 second slowdown. So it's going down slightly. So I'm just going to back off. A little lift should clear this. And it's gone. It's gone. Let's try it again here. 1.3 seconds. So I want to try and carry this through this turn at the end here. So we've got a 1 second slowdown. Is that going to go up? It's going down. It's going down. It's going down. Going down. Lift just to get rid of that. Right, we'll try P1. So another place where you might get a slowdown here when you're trying to avoid carnage. 0.7, yeah. We obviously lost time going around P1, but we'll just lift and just clear that. That is so much better. It looks like we're actually losing the penalty that we've been given and no more. That is much better. I mean, I know it's not groundbreaking, and it's probably just similar to what it used to be like, but it's going to make the racing so much better. Right, let's try this chicane. So we'll cut right across here, take an evasive action, 1.2 seconds, and it's going down. So it obviously recognises that we lost time going through there. Let's try and carry this through turn 1. So it's gone back up a tiny bit there. So if we just bleed that off here, just a tiny bit, that's enough. That'll do for me. We'll do it again here. See how quickly we can actually get rid of it. So 1.1, little lift. That's it, dab of the brakes. And that should be gone by the time we get to the end of this straight. Oh man, that is so much better. Oh, I'm so pleased that they fixed that. So that's slowdowns fixed for this build. So the next thing I want to talk about, which is actually a really cool feature, is the ability to create an AI race based on an official series. So if you wanted to practice an IMSA race, for example, full race distance against the AI, well, you can now do that from within the UI, which is super simple. So you click on your race series. So here we've got this QA rainy day series. This is in the alpha build. If you go down to the bottom right, create a single AI session. That will then generate an AI session based on the official series. You can see here, it automatically populates practice, qualifier, race, the cars, the track, everything. So everything that's in the official series will be in this AI race. Brilliant. Now, the next thing I want to briefly talk about is a new weather system within iRacing called Spotty Rain. Now, with the Tempest weather system, we were able to say when the rain would start, when the rain would stop. But the new Spotty Rain makes the weather a bit more unpredictable and a bit more dynamic. So now we can say when the rain might start and when the rain might stop, but we really won't know exactly what the weather's going to do. Now, if you want to try that out, you can create a test session, click on the weather, go down to timeline editor, launch timeline editor, and from the conditions, you can select spotty. Now, that means that the rain might start at a certain time, might stop at a certain time, but you really won't know. It'll just keep you on your toes a little bit more. So a couple of other updates worth mentioning for this build. Now we can view other drivers during qualifying. So if anybody's doing something that they shouldn't be doing, we can fire that email off to Nim Cross. Apparently, there is a new multi-class splitting algorithm. This is hopefully going to stop one car dominating the entire field. You know what it's like if the Ferrari is the strongest car, everybody's in the Ferrari. So I'm really interested to see how that works out. And there are going to be some tests during week 13. And if you sign up for those, you will get a special little badge on iRacing to say you took part in the testing. I think it's called iTested or iTesting. Definitely worth getting. The clutches for specific cars are getting a bit of an overhaul, so the bite point for each car will be different. Not all clutches are the same. So if you've set up your dual clutch for the Porsche Cup car, well, the bite point's going to be considerably different for the Formula 4 car, for example. Rain tyres have been added to the TCR class, the Ford Mustang and the Renault Clio. So although on the face of it, there doesn't seem to be lots of content, there are some significant things in this build which will make life just a little bit better. So obviously the new build hasn't yet been released. So if there's anything else that I think needs covered, I'll cover that in a follow-up video. But I want to give a massive thanks to iRacing for allowing me early access to this build. And I promise I haven't just spent the last few days doing jumps at Cadwell. Well, I might have done for a little bit. Let me know down below in the comments what you think of the new build. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great week. See you later. Cheers.